to you, Bailey.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, thank you so much for inviting me to come, and I'm excited to speak to you today about social media smarts. Let me open up my presentation. Here we go. Hopefully you all can see that. So I actually spoke at the South Carolina Finance Forum last year on this topic. And the reason I think that this topic is so important, especially now, probably even more so now than it was a year ago, and it was very important a year ago, is we're all doing things a little differently, right? We all are either, like, as you can see, I'm in my home right now telecommuting, and I'm telecommuting 100% of the time, or you're doing virtual learning as a teacher. So social media smarts is extremely important. We're not going to just talk about social media, but we're going to talk about internet safety in general. And the reason I think this is so important right now, especially, is we're all online even more than we were a year ago. I didn't think it was possible. I, as a person, thought, I mean, I'm online all the time. I didn't think it could be more, but it is, right? So here's our roadmap for today's presentation. We're going to talk about your digital footprint, and I'll show you an example of what a digital footprint is, my digital footprint, and then how social media can follow you. It follows you as you are creating it, and it will follow you through the rest of your life. How you can stay safe on social media and the internet, specifically when it comes to identity theft and scams. We at Consumer Affairs talk a lot about identity theft and scams. We have an identity theft unit that you can actually report scams to, and if you're a victim of identity theft, we can help walk you through that process, and how to protect yourself on the internet. Even if you're just shopping online, it may not necessarily be using Facebook, Instagram, whatever social media you use, how to protect yourself in general when you're using the internet. I always have to say this. I work for a state agency. I'm not an attorney. You don't want to get legal advice from me whatsoever. This presentation is merely serving as an introduction and overview of the topic. So I'm not going to know how to interpret laws, and I should not attempt. That would be a crime in and of itself. I just want to introduce SCDCA to those who may not know who we are. We are South Carolina's Consumer Protection Agency. We've been around since 1975, celebrating 45 years. And our mission is to protect consumers from the inequities in the marketplace through 4 separate areas. But what I want to say, the not so fancy way of saying that is we help protect South Carolinians from businesses being bad businesses is really what it is. So we do this through 4 separate areas. Number 1, advocacy. We have an advocacy division that has a number of attorneys in it. What they're most well known for right now, and have been in the news a lot lately about, is utility rate making. So we were given the ability back in 2018, actually given back the ability to intervene in utility rate making cases. So say a water company wants to increase their utility rates, and Consumer Affairs looks at this and says, we think that's not a very fair increase. We can actually intervene, and we can make a case as to why they shouldn't get that increase approved. We have intervened in, I believe it's 5 different situations since last fall, and we are going to continue to intervene as we see fit. And that's what advocacy is most well known for now, but they also do insurance filings and other things. Mediation is actually what Consumer Affairs is most well known for. We help mediate complaints against businesses. So if you're a consumer and you want to file a complaint against a business, you can do that with us. We do regulate some businesses in the state of South Carolina, and if you file a complaint against a business that we regulate, we have a little bit more push and control over that. But overall, if we don't regulate a business, we can't force a business to do anything, but we usually get good results for consumers who are looking to have a solution to a problem. Enforcement, these are the people that are doing the hard work of licensing businesses. They're also going into businesses and saying, hey, we want to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And education, that's somebody like me. We have a small education team, outreach team, who used to, before COVID-19, travel across the entire state and give presentations for free from ages as young as 5 years old up to 99 years old. I presented to a group, a book club in Columbia, and the oldest member was 99 years old. So we are customizing our presentations to our audiences, and we're doing this all for free to public and private groups. All right, here is the nitty-gritty of the presentation. What is a digital footprint? It's all of the information online about a person, either that you've posted or that others have posted, intentionally or unintentionally. So if you are tagged in a post on Facebook, that's a part of your digital footprint. You may not have wanted to be tagged in that Facebook post, but it's now a part of your digital footprint. And the way Facebook and the internet work is, even if you untag yourself, there still is a record of that existing, because the internet was originally a giant archive, and it continues to archive as things are posted. So what I always say is, just because you delete it doesn't mean it's gone. I have to say that to teenagers all the time. There's that saying of "felt cute, might delete later." And it doesn't matter. There's still an archive of that somewhere. So know your digital footprint. It's growing every single day. When you log into your social media accounts, when you shop online, every piece of your information that you're putting on the internet is a part of your digital footprint, and it's expanding, even just logging in. So know that everything you do on the internet is tracked and traceable to a certain extent. It's not just up to you. So when others, like your friends or companies or groups you belong to, they track and post and share information about you, and that becomes a part of your footprint. I'll show you an example of that as a part of my digital footprint, things that come up when you Google me that I have no control over. And it's permanent. So because it's archived in a variety of ways and by others, it doesn't ever go away. There is a phenomenon where people may have put things on the internet years ago that they now don't want on the internet, right? You sometimes see this with tweets. People will delete hundreds, if not thousands, of tweets they sent out years ago that now, for whatever reason, they feel like they need to delete. Well, guess what? There are companies that are paid money to archive all public tweets. So if you had a public account on Twitter and you tweeted out offensive things 5 years ago and you decided in 2020 that you want to delete it now, guess what? Somebody, if they paid a company, they could actually look that up and find those tweets, because there are companies that make a lot of money off of archiving this public information. So it's permanent. And even if you didn't delete it, what you put on the internet stays there. The account that I created when I was 15 years old on PhotoBucket, that I have no idea what the login is, it's still there. And guess what? All of my photos on that PhotoBucket from when I was 15 are public. I have no idea how to go in and get them. So just think about things before you post them. All right, so this is my digital footprint. My maiden name is McMurdy, and I was actually a sports reporter and fill-in anchor at a news station in Salt Lake City, Utah, a number of years ago. And if you were to Google me, my name that was on TV, Bailey McMurdy, my entire digital footprint comes up from those days. So, number one thing that pops up is my profile on fox13now.com. On that page is every story that I've ever been tagged in. So every story that I ever did, every story that I ever posted, or every story that I ever edited. So anything that I'm connected to would show up there. There's my LinkedIn account, Director of Communications and Public Information at the South Carolina Department of Consumer Affairs. That's where you would find my LinkedIn. My old Twitter account that I no longer use, but I was forced to create when I became a sports reporter. And then my YouTube account. where you can actually see my username, the one I created when I was 15 years old, and now I'm embarrassed about, MurdyMac15. I wish I could change it. I can't, so it's there. We scroll down, you see some images of me. So you see an image there of me actually reporting at a Utah Jazz game live. There are 2 photos in the middle there that I did not post myself, but are on a random Utah State University blog about when I won a scholarship when I was in college. And then my headshot, which is on the right. All 3 of these images I did not post myself. And then if you keep going, a number of awards that I won, my SoundCloud, which I don't think I've opened SoundCloud in literally years, but it's there. If you go to images, I did not post, I don't think, any of these images. So a lot of these are from my news reporting days, but also from my college days when I won awards, when I won a scholarship, when I appeared in some sort of journalism video or article. The majority of these photos I have no control over and I cannot take down. Luckily for me, my last name is different now. And also, luckily for me, none of these photos are incriminating in any way, shape, or form. I don't have any reason to be embarrassed about these things, but it's something to think about. I don't have any control over these and I can't delete them. There's a photo of a random man that says Bailey McMurdy Parker underneath it. That man is somebody I used to work with at Fox 13. And the reason his photo shows up is because my name's been connected with his and a number of stories. So even photos like that man who also seems to be getting some sort of infusion. I actually think that that's an infusion that man's receiving in that next photo. I worked at a hospital in communications, did a lot of stories on cancer patients. So my name is connected to that man's story. Just think about these things. These are permanent and they're going to remain there. Another thing I do want to mention is, luckily for me, none of these things are super negative, but if you were to continue clicking, you would see the negative comments that people in Utah may have left about me because they didn't like the fact that I was a sports reporter. They didn't like the way I reported. They didn't like what I said about a specific game. And some people feel a certain type of way about women reporting on sports. So if you were to go deep enough into that Google search, you would see things that may not be super positive, or, you know, not that I've posted, but that other people have posted about me that I have no control over. And that follows me, and it will follow you. So specifically, it may follow you or your students, if we're talking about your students here, when they're looking to apply for jobs in the future. In 2006, 12% of hiring managers said they were using social media accounts as a screening tool. By 2010, that figure had gone up to 25%. Now it stands at 70%. So that means 70% of people who are hiring for jobs are using social media as a screening tool, either before they actually call someone to even do the interview, or they've already done the interview and they just want to do a double check that there's nothing sketchy going on online. The top 3 turnoffs that are cited for not hiring someone for a job or when they're looking at social media. Number 1, provocative and inappropriate content. Now, I do want to say I spoke to over 25 high school and middle school classrooms last year on this subject. Went into the classroom and spoke to them about this and said, if you're posting, and I'm not talking about the ethicalness of this, I'm not here to discuss ethics, but if you have a public Instagram and you're posting pictures of yourself partying or at the beach in you're scantily clad or whatever that may be, that could have a negative effect on your ability to get a job in the future. Again, I'm not here to talk about the ethics of that, but hiring managers have spoken about that making decisions for them in whether to call or hire a person. So number 1, provocative and inappropriate content. 2, posts about drinking or using drugs. And that includes posts that don't necessarily say certain words, but have emojis that are associated with specific types of actions, because that also is popular, and discriminatory comments. If you are discriminating against anybody's sexual orientation, gender, religion, any race, any type of discrimination, you better believe that hiring managers are not going to touch you with a 10-foot pole. They're not going to take that risk. So don't post it on social media. That's one thing I remember speaking to a group of 8th graders. It was the entire 8th grade class I spoke to in a gymnasium. It was a tough crowd. And I remember talking about this, and they were saying, well, some of my jokes, I post some jokes and, maybe they're a little edgy. And I'm like, well, first of all, you're 13 years old. I didn't say that. I thought that. But those edgy jokes that you think are edgy right now may not reflect well on you in 7 years when you're in college, or even when you're applying for college if you want to go to college at some point. So in 5 years when you're making those college applications. So just putting these things into perspective of how they may affect your life. And to know that it's permanent, it's always going to stay there. And it's so easy nowadays to just take a screenshot of something that may have been posted on the internet. So it follows you from the moment you post it until you're old. Just know, whatever you're using on the internet, and this isn't even just social media, what you're buying online is also tracked. And they're using that information to give more ads to you so you buy more online. So they see, oh, I saw that you bought some nail clippers on Amazon. I'm going to now start advertising to this woman who bought the nail clippers some nail polish or maybe some nail files. And you're going to start seeing more ads about that. All of this is tracked and it follows you. I saw a couple, let's see if saw a couple of chats come in. Somebody said, excuse me while I go Google myself. I actually say you all should, to really see what's out there about yourself. It can be eye-opening. I know it was for me when I went and saw all of it. Screenshot the whole thing and sent it, which I won't. Dangers of kids and Zoom. Yeah, Zoom. Zoom bombers are a real thing, which is why I'll mention at the end again, always password protect everything if you can. Any of these video conferences that you do, anything that you use to do virtual learning, always make sure you have a password. I know it's super inconvenient. That's the number one thing I hear from people, like, oh, it's so inconvenient to have to manage a password and do all of that stuff. Yeah, but the last thing you want is somebody, I was actually looking up news stories earlier today of a church who did a Zoom conference on Sunday, and then a white supremacist group came on and started shouting a lot of really bad stuff. So, I mean, password protection is necessary. So here are some examples of when social media actually affected somebody's career. So a firefighter left because he said his house was on fire. Then an hour and a half later, his wife tagged him in a photo sitting in a kiddie pool in front of his house. This is from his boss. If he had simply asked to leave, I probably would have said yes. Instead, he got fired. So there's that. A prospective employee at the company I work for had just passed his interview and was told that all he needed to do was pass a drug test and a physical, and he'd start on Monday. Somebody found the new hire on Facebook, and he had posted just 20 minutes after the interview, shoot, anyone know how to pass a drug test in 24 hours? Needless to say, this man did not receive the job. A coworker of mine was fired recently because he got caught sneaking off from work to smoke and drink. This moron would post photos of himself smoking and drinking on Facebook. The boss found out and predictably fired him on the spot. This guy was almost 30 years old. And then this last one. My female friend who's 18 was DM'd through Twitter by a news presenter. That's the British way of saying a news reporter, who was 37 years old. He was talking about her beach pictures and how she's really pretty and how they need to get together. He lost his job later that week, mostly because he used the Weather Channel's Twitter account to send those messages. Yeah, you don't want to use a professional Twitter account to send your DMs to somebody you're looking to date. Okay, so here is an example. When I go and I talk to kids, this is a subject that often receives a lot of laughs, and I don't care. But it's a common story that we are hearing now of kids who are sending nude photos to other people, and then the nude photos are sent to somebody else, and they're sent to somebody else, and they're sent to somebody else. This actually happened in Augusta, Georgia, I believe it was the spring of 2019 that I heard about it, where there were 50 kids involved in this nude photo ring. A girl sent a photo of herself to a boy that she liked, and then he sent it to everyone, and they sent it to everyone. Well, police got involved, and turns out if you're under the age of 18 and you send a photo or receive a photo of somebody under the age of 18, that's trafficking child pornography, which is a felony charge in the United States. The police did not charge these kids with felonies. They were very nice in not doing so, but they all got either suspended or expelled. And that's 50 kids. So this is a real thing. Let me see what time it is. Basically, this happened in February of this year. I'm not going to share the whole video. This is at Middleton High School, where 20 kids were involved in a similar situation, where a girl sent a photo to a boy that she liked, and then he sent it to a bunch of his friends. Now, this story is actually still ongoing, and I think was kind of put on pause because of the coronavirus. But the Department of Justice actually got involved in February of this year because they were investigating to see if felony charges needed to be dealt out to these children. Because the majority of them were under the age of 18. The girl who sent the photo was under the age of 18. And these are real things that happen. When I tell this to kids, they're all like, no, that's not real. That's not a thing. That doesn't happen. Yeah, it does. This happens. And it's important to know that if you're going to send these photos, even on apps like Snapchat, that are claiming that they're deleting your photos, how easy is it to just screenshot that photo you sent and send it to somebody else? Also, just a little tidbit about Snapchat. While they are not saving all of your data forever, they do reserve the right to save all of your public and private messages for 60 days in their cloud. So even those private messages you're sending that you think are deleting after a certain period of time, after the 10, 15, however many seconds, they're being saved in Snapchat's cloud for 60 days. What happens if Snapchat gets hacked? You sent a nude photo to your boyfriend, girlfriend, significant other, whatever it may be. Guess what? Snapchat gets hacked. All of your information is out there. You hear many stories of celebrities who get hacked on Snapchat and their nudes are leaked. I mean, apparently everyone's sending nudes and they're all getting leaked. So just know that Snapchat is not protecting you. Social media companies are not protecting you. Facebook and Instagram definitely are not protecting you. They are most well known. Mark Zuckerberg has had to go speak in front of Congress multiple times about the multiple leaks and security issues they've had in the past of leaking people's photos and information. So just know, the internet is not keeping you safe. So staying safe on social media. There's this thing called social engineering. Basically, it's just a fancy way of saying you're getting scammed. I am going to show this video because I think this video is absolutely fantastic. This shows you, need to share my computer sound. So this is a reporter. This came out a year and a half ago, so this is relatively new. The woman on the left, she is a social engineering scammer. They call her a hacker. I mean, she's a scammer. That's what she is. The guy on the right is the reporter, and he basically is allowing her to hack into his accounts. Not by giving her the passwords or anything like that, but by just seeing how much information she can get from his social media and everything else. So let me know if you can hear this when it starts playing.
You have stolen about $2,500 worth of hotel points. And worst of all, you have put me in a middle seat.
On a 5-hour flight.
Oh my God. And they just let you do it.
Yeah.
Damn.
So I am here in Las Vegas for two of the world's biggest hacking conferences, and for some reason I have agreed to be hacked. I'm meeting Rachel Toback, who specializes in a special form of hacking called social engineering, and I'm very nervous.
I feel like I know pretty much everything about you.
I instantly don't trust you. So am I going to be safer today, thanks to you?
You and every other customer will be safer today, thanks to what you're willing to let me do.
Well, let's get started, I guess.
Okay, so you want to assume that everything that you put on social media is public. Information that can be found in places like this can be used to authenticate you with different companies. Do you remember this tweet?
Yeah.
I used this to gain access to your current address.
What?
So what I did is I called up this furniture company right here, and I basically said, hey, we're gonna buy another one of these pieces of furniture, but I need to make sure that I don't accidentally have the wrong information on the account. And they said, no, I mean, you ordered something a while ago, but the thing that you ordered we shipped to this address. And yeah, I think I got his updated address, which is pretty scary because that happened in 30 seconds. I got your current address. I got your birthday from Twitter. I called like pretty much every business that he ever listed that he used on his Twitter or Instagram. What you have to understand is when you do that, I now know which companies you use, and I know which companies to call as you.
What did you get from the boutique hotel?
Your phone number and your email address.
They gave you my phone number.
So I'm gonna be doing these phone calls. I'm gonna be actually live hacking. So when I call, your phone number is gonna display on their caller ID.
This is Donnie O'Sullivan.
Who are you really?
No, this is Donnie O'Sullivan. I can tell you my address, phone number, date of birth.
Whatever you need to know to verify that that's really me.
That's wild.
I am on the road right now and I'm having trouble getting access to my internet, but I need to transfer points to my friend for a bridal shower. Hopefully you can help me out over the phone. I have all the information. I have 90,000, is that correct? So the first and last name is Rachel Toback. Oh, they've been transferred? Okay, fantastic.
They're gone.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Are your points gone?
They're gone. That is crazy. When you call this airline, it's going to be coming from my number.
Yes.
As you know, I have a flight leaving Vegas.
I'll put you in the middle. I'm trying to do this like personal essay thing, so can you move me to a middle seat kind of in the back of the plane? I know you probably don't get that request a lot. Oh, perfect. Okay, so it's a row right before the last row and it's in the middle seat.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome.
You're in the back of the plane, middle seat.
I had an exit aisle.
He picked it up saying, Mr. O'Sullivan, how can I help you?
If I was not sitting here with you and didn't know, they said, well, sir, you called up and requested this, I would flip the house.
Think about how much you have to do.
So the reason I think that video is extremely applicable is all of the information you're putting out on the internet, when you're putting out that it's your birthday, when you're tagging yourself at the restaurant that you're eating at, or you're tagging yourself at the car dealership that you just bought your new car at, that all is a part of your digital footprint. And that is there for people to see where you're eating, seeing where you're shopping. If you tag your house, you geotag your house in your post, people then know where you live. I've heard many a news story of kids who will be very excited about a vacation that they're going on. So they'll post pre-vacation and say, so excited to go on vacation. And they geotag their house and say, we're going to Cabo for 7 days. Well, guess what? A thief now knows that you're not going to be in your house for 7 days, and you geotagged the address. There are literal news stories that have been posted about break-ins because of social media posts like that. So it's really important to think about what you are sharing. And when I speak to students, really think about what you're geotagging. And the word geotag isn't just known off the top of people's heads, but it's when you tag where you are. You put a location tag. And you know, when you take a photo, if you have an Android or an iPhone, when you take a photo or a video, encrypted in that photo is actually a geotag itself. So oftentimes, if you take a photo out at some park, and then you go and you want to post it on Instagram, Instagram will actually recognize that there's a geotag in that photo, and it will suggest where you should geotag it. So know that all of these things are tracking where you are, even if your Bluetooth is turned off. I know a lot of people are like, well, I don't turn my Bluetooth on, so I'm safe. No. That's a common misconception. Just because you turned off your Bluetooth doesn't mean that people aren't tracking you.
To get into your
Okay, how do I get out of here? There we go. Another thing I saw, and I still continue to see because a lot of people are online more often, especially during the quarantine period, were these little challenges on social media. So there was one specifically that was it was around graduation time. And a lot of older adults were sharing pictures of themselves when they graduated back in whenever they graduated, as a fun little piece of in solidarity with students who were not able to graduate normally because of COVID-19. And while as fun and cute as that may be, I was the downer on Facebook being like, don't post this. You're now posting when you graduated high school. You're posting photo evidence of that. People are going to be able to find out most likely when you were born, what year you were born. You're giving up way too much information. Or there was another one of, what's the first car you ever owned? And all of these little pieces of these details that you're putting out there for people, you may not be giving away your date of birth, which, I mean, you probably already have if you've ever been wished a happy birthday on social media. But you may not think that sharing your hometown or your first pet's name or the street you grew up on or your birthday or the name of your brother, your favorite, whatever it may be, all of these little things that you see on the screen right now, you may not think that these are a big deal. These are perfect breadcrumbs for identity thieves and scammers to use to guess your passwords and security questions for your financial accounts. How many times do you go into a bank, set up a bank account, and they say, what's your mother's maiden name? That's an oftentimes used security question. When you're putting information out there like that, because let's be real, making passwords is difficult, right? Nobody wants to create a really long, complicated password because no one's going to remember it. So the majority of people, myself included in the past, will create passwords based on their dog's name, their child's name, their date of birth, all of these details that you're putting on social media. So just think of that before you do it. And when it comes to passwords, just to let you know, the longer the better. So a lot of people think, oh, well, if I put 6 different special characters and like 2 letters and an uppercase, yes, you want to make it complicated, but also the length matters. So the longer, the better. So identity theft and scams in South Carolina. September of this year, the top 3 scams were crime and warrant. Those ones are the threats of you've committed some crime or there's a warrant out for your arrest. So you need to give over your information or you need to give over money in order to get out of the situation. Number 2 is purchase. This is not shocking to me because a lot of people are shopping online more often right now. So purchases are often online scams, but they can also encompass other types of purchases you may make in person. And then service and repair. So you paid for some sort of service and then it turned out to be a scam, or a repair scam is common, especially around disasters. So repairmen will show up at your door and say, oh, I see some shingles on your roof are loose or they're gone and I can go up and I can fix them. I just need you to do the down payment of $100 and I'll get right to it. We see that a lot. So scams reported thus far in 2020, so from January 1 until now, 506 scams have been reported by South Carolinians. 54 reported money lost. So that means the rest of the people didn't lose any money. But amongst those who lost money, they lost a combined $642,000. That's an average of almost $12,000 per report. Estimated money lost to identity theft and scams. So identity theft is maybe credit card theft. Somebody's opened up a loan in your name on your credit report for 2020 is over 1.125 million just this year in South Carolina alone. That means in identity theft reports, there was over $482,000 lost. Scams cost people a lot of money. We had a report just last month of a woman losing $406,000 over the course of 4 months to a scam. And these people are educated, they are smart. There's a common misconception that it's only old people. Millennials are actually getting scammed more often than older adults. They just lose less money because they have less of it. So don't get into this idea of, oh, well, I'm young, I can't get scammed, or, oh, well, I know every scam there is out there. No, there's an estimated 100 new scams a day. So don't lull yourself into this false sense of security of, I know every scam there is to know. So honestly, thieves can use your info in any way they want. The ones on the screen are the really bad versions. So medical and government benefit fraud, tax refunds, they can actually do your taxes for you. They're not doing them right, but they're doing them so they can collect a refund in your name. Credit, so opening up credit accounts in your name, whether that be loans or credit cards, and they can actually apply for jobs and employment and get employment verified through you. Identity thieves can use information any way you do. Just remember that. So all that information you're putting online suddenly become an identity thief's identity also. Keep an open mind. Scams come in all shapes and sizes. I mentioned 100 new scams a day estimated. So just know that they come from every source nowadays: phone, direct mailer, text messages, emails, fake websites, direct messages on social media, in person. Scammers will take any angle they can if they think they can make money or get your information, which oftentimes your information is worth more money than money is. So just keep that in mind. Where does it usually start? You usually tell them, you post something. That's usually where identity theft and scams starts. But they can also come from security breaches. So a company is breached for whatever reason, lost or stolen wallets, theft by family or friends. This is bolded and italicized for a reason. This happens a lot more often than people would like to think. Friends or family members who fall on hard times will take advantage of the trust of a friend or a family member. Dumpster diving. This still happens. I think people think because we're in the digital age that there's no dumpster diving. Please make sure to destroy those pre-approvals that come in the mail or those benefit statements that you get from your medical benefits or whatever it may be. Destroy those, shred them, cut them up in tiny little pieces. Dumpster diving is still a thing. And stolen mail. If you are still, and there's no judgment here, if you're still paying for bills by putting a check in your mailbox, stop doing that. The reason being is it's so easy for a scammer and a thief to just open up a mailbox, even if it's locked, to break into a mailbox, take out that check. Oh, great. Wipe it, write whatever they want for themselves, or even better, they have your routing number and bank account number at the very bottom. So if you do want to continue to pay by check, just make sure, take it straight into the post office. If you want to continue to pay by check, just go right into that post office building. And number one rule, do not give over any of your personal or financial information to somebody you don't know or you can't verify who they are. We don't have a ton of time left, so I do just want to cover this really quickly. I always talk to students about this because they're always like, oh, so are you telling me that those surveys that I take online that tell me I'm going to get a $500 Walmart gift card if I fill out a survey are fake? Yes, they are fake. All of them are going to be fake. And I'll ask, what information did you give over? Oh, I just gave over my home address and my social security number and my birth date and all of this sensitive information. So if you cannot verify that something is legitimate, and if somebody just shows up out of the blue, a message just comes up or somebody calls, that's a huge red flag. We don't have time to go over all of this, but I can send out these slides if you'd like. Red flags of a scam. Number one, they ask you to verify personal identifying information. They ask you to wire transfer money or pay in gift cards. That's a huge no-no. Nobody should ever be asking you to pay in gift cards. They send you a check asking you to cash it or wire it somewhere else. They're posing as a state or federal law enforcement officer or government official. They try and threaten you, and they make you think their offer's time sensitive. So what do you do now? Number one, take your birthdays off of your accounts. Make them private. Every social media account allows you to make your birthday private. Make all of your public accounts private. I always tell kids, the only reason you have a public account is because you want likes. That's the only reason. So please make them private. Do not geotag your location. Don't link all your social media accounts. Instagram and Facebook will give you that option. Spotify gives you that option with a bunch of other things. Don't link them, because that then means you only need one password to log into everything. Make all of your passwords different from one another. That's difficult to know. And just don't protect social media to protect you. They're not going to do so. You need to be on guard when you're online. That means when you're shopping online, not using a debit card and using a credit card if you can. A debit card is a direct line into your bank account where your cash sits. And if somebody were to intercept your debit card number, that means your cash is on the line. Credit cards have a lot more insurance. So if somebody does, for whatever reason, get your credit card number, that then means you can report it, you'll get that money back because you're not on the hook for it, right? It's not your actual money. Okay, I know we are here at the last second. We got a couple of questions, I think. Yes, I can definitely send this over. Saw a t-shirt that said my password is the last 8 digits of my PI. So please, 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 just try and stay safe. What I will say right now to all of you teachers who are here, we give private and public presentations. I gave this a form of this presentation customized to teachers to over 25 classrooms last year. We do this for free. So if you need filler, if you're virtual learning or even in classroom, we are here by webinar, by Zoom, whatever way, shape, or form, and we can give a form of this presentation for you. We also do financial literacy and a bunch of other stuff. So don't hesitate to reach out to me. We want to help. We're here, please. And even for yourself, if you want a group or whatever, just reach out if you have any questions. I know we don't have a ton of time. It's 7:45 right now, so we don't have any time.
Bailey, I do want to, before we open it up for questions, because people can stay as long as they'd like, I do want to say thank you very much. It was very informative, and thank you for sharing the slides too. We'll make sure that those all get out. This is recorded and will be available also on Friday on the website. The scfinanceforum.org website. You'll also get an evaluation on Thursday morning. Please fill out the evaluation. We pay attention to what everybody says, and you'll need to do that if you're one of the folks who's getting $50 for attending two of our sessions. In addition, and Jumpstart is the one who helped sponsor this, and they have $500 classroom mini grants. I haven't seen many people apply, and it's like the people who apply seem to get them. So please do take a look at the website again. It's on there. And also the Financial Literacy Master Teacher Program, the Future Scholar by our treasurer. That's a way to get $500 to $3,000 in your pocket. I know I'm writing the checks, okay, over a 3-year period. You get 500 the first, 1,500 the second, and the correction, 1,000 the second, and 1,500 the third. So please pay attention to those. And then you are free to stick around, but again, I do want to make sure we get closed so that for those who want to move on to the next thing. So thanks a bunch, and then hang out. And Bailey, if you'll hang out for just a second.
Yeah, of course.
If anybody else has any questions.
And Erica, when I saw PI, you see, I'm not a math person. I'm an identity theft person. PI is public information to me or private information. So yes, pi as in 3.14. See, yeah, I'm not smart enough to get something like that. That shows you was not a math person. I was a communications person. Somebody said, what about 4th and 5th grade students? I've actually spoken to 4th and 5th grade classes about this. It's a much shorter and simplified presentation. We talk a lot about safety on the internet and kind of talking to parents about the usage of the internet and things like that. So we can customize to any age group.
Okay, well, thank you all very much. We'll go ahead and end now. And Bailey, again, thank you very much. And Lucia, thanks for being out there in the background. And good luck with your next session.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
All right, bye-bye.